Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. Welcome to This Week in Metals. Welcome, Peter Thomas in Chicago. How are you?
Hey, welcome to the trading floor in Chicago at the CME. It's great to have you here in Chicago. Welcome to October, usually a very exciting month in the precious metals. As we've seen, especially in the gold so far this year, is that the ETFs are coming back with a vengeance. So that means the public is buying.
Yeah. I remember when I worked in Chicago and Bloomberg had a micro studio at the
Right.
CBOE, kind
Yep.
of above the trading floor. So we
Yep.
would sit in this kind of glass booth above the trading floor and be interviewed with the actual trading floor behind. Not that I want to shatter anybody's illusions, but that's not the real trading floor because nobody's
No,
moving.
it's quiet.
Yeah,
You know,
but that's
nowadays,
cool.
honestly, you could throw a bowling ball across that floor, you wouldn't hit anybody.
I
It's
know
uh,
it's
it's
sad.
it's all wired in. It's all as we tell people, and it's important for you as the consumer to understand that all of those human beings down there, all of those were friends and dear friends of mine, are now computers humming away doing algo trading, which is why we're getting the bigger swings in these trading markets. And I want you to understand that when you see silver move 90 cents in a day, it would barely ever rarely happen. Whereas now the computers push the market much harder.
Right. Also, worth noting that they might end up turning the trading floors in Chicago into bowling alleys if Chicago passes the financial transaction tax.
Well, if Chicago does the transaction tax, I mean they've already moving from the East Coast, so that'll be gone. If they do it here, obviously Chicago will leave, and it's a shame because I'm second generation here. My father used to trade in the gold pit, and I used to fill in the silver pit. So we have two generations on the floor, and my son Adrian now has been interning at our shop, which has
Yep.
been there for 40 years. So we're three generation metals dealers, and we will leave Chicago. We are already looking at a place in Florida, and it's sad. I mean they closed the floor, and now we're going to have to leave because of higher taxes and mismanagement, and so it's something that we're preparing for.
Right. Right.
Yep,
Well, let's move on to the
absolutely
metals market. Gold closed up 2% last week. Um, Held the low that was set in the week prior. Um, Held the 20-week and the 100-day moving average. I find myself encouraged. We traded as high as 1917.08 at the end of last week. So moved pretty decisively back above 1900 bucks, but couldn't
did.
hold it on the close basis. So closed just below 1900 bucks on the close. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking there's a couple of things here. We have some big players that are in my mind. I think J.P. Morgan is going to be leaving the metals market. I believe that there's close to $1 billion fine for spoofing. I have a feeling there's a little more to that fine than meets the eye, and I got a feeling that they are going to be or have agreed to leave the market. This is all speculation, but I think that between J.P. Morgan and let me get the number right here, ARB Trading ponied up 745 grand for spoofing as well. So we have two major players that have been quote manipulating the market, which are leaving. So I think that's going to lend a lot of credence to legitimize price offer and discovery. So I think a lot of people are going to come back into the metals market and come in stronger because they know that the CFTC has cleaned up the market.
Yeah, no, I think that's it's a good thing to
Yeah,
to get the spoofing and so forth out of the market.
yeah. So I think that gold is going to continue to trade, continue to be strong, and continue to be in demand as long as they're printing money. Oh, keeper of the tally, where are we at,
Oh
sir?
gosh, I haven't checked lately, but you know, well over 7 trillion, I think, is where we were the last time I took
Okay,
a serious
so
look at
as
it.
long as
So
as long as we're printing big money, Diwali is starting to shape up in India like we're going to have our first good one. We had good monsoons, the crops look good. Season is coming upon us. We have a lot of reasons to be friendly to the gold, and it held this last break fairly well. So I think I'm bullish.
Yeah, it was only down, about what 4 or 5%, I think, overall. So it did, not a huge correction. Maybe it was a little bit more than that now that I think about it, maybe 8 or 9% overall from the high
Right.
to the corrective low thus far. Um, the one thing that I had read about kind of Indian demand. So as you
Yeah.
mentioned, we're not seeing the consumer demand yet. We've seen
Right.
the imports uptick and suggestive of jewelers restocking in
Exactly right.
anticipation of
Yep.
festival and
The
wedding season,
the
but not
when
really
you
seeing the consumer demand yet.
well, and that's a very valid point, Pete, which is why I'm saying this. What I'm saying is this. You and I do a lot of dealing with wholesalers, and the public doesn't see it, and we get an opportunity to share it with our scrappers and our guys here. And also, a lot of our investors like to know what's going on the undertone. And when we see wholesalers coming in buying in quantity, we know they're getting ready for a retail demand. And the Indians have been doing it for a very long time, and they're very good traders. So I'm thinking when I see them coming to the board, getting ready to start making their purchases, and our trading platform Tornado, which is used by vast majority of hedgers in this industry, we're seeing a lot of activity picking up again. So things might be happening as far as Asia goes, and I'd love to see them pick up the slack because they have really been far behind as far as selling because of COVID.
Right, right. Also hearing that a lot of the weddings that typically would occur in October, November
Right.
are being pushed back for that reason, for
Yeah.
COVID safety. The wedding season is a big deal in India for sure, and it
Well, the
generates big
population is
demand.
enormous, and they are very close together, and the jewelry is sold hands-on with one another. So they've worked that out now, where people are wearing their face shields, their masks, their distances, they're handing the jewelry back and forth differently. So the Indian brokers have adapted, and hopefully we'll see things pick up. Central bank activity hasn't been that great, so it'd be good to see, for the retail side to come back into the market.
Right, right. Yeah,
Yep.
so a lot of the investment demand that we continue to see is occurring in the ETFs.
Right.
Interesting figure I picked up in an FT article this
Okay.
this week is that ETF now accounts for 35% of demand in the
Yes.
in the gold market, and
Yes.
that's up from 8% a
So
decade
it's
ago.
it's gigantic, and we're talking with a couple of the larger fractionalized stock dealers, and we started telling them at 900 to start buying in, and now they're, many years later, they're starting to come around to our way of looking at things. And I'll tell you what, there's a great appetite right now among the millennials to start diversifying. Guys that are up 200% in their Apple stock are saying, I'm going to take 5 or 10% of this and put it in gold because you can't print it. And we're seeing a lot more of our older population coming in strong off of the stock market profits.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Silver
Yeah.
was up 3.8%
Which was
last week.
surprising because it got hit hard and it came back strong.
Yeah, it got,
Yeah,
I don't know that it's necessarily out of the woods yet.
I agree.
I take a little bit of a cue from gold that incents me to be a little bit positive about that. But it was the first higher weekly close in 5 for silver. It too is holding the 20-week and the 100-day
The
moving
100 days
averages,
the
which
issue,
is I
right?
like.
Yeah.
Um, has a bit of a bear flag look on it though. So
It does feel heavy. Its usages in computer boards, computer keyboards, as a transducer, has been, the demand has been average. I would like to have seen it a little better. I believe we're taking a breath here because everyone who's been at home, who got tired of all of their electrical equipment, which at home, computers and whatnot, that have gotten old, gotten tired, have upgraded. And in a lot of cases, a number of companies have been subsidizing people to upgrade their stuff at home. So I think we're seeing a little tapering in demand as far as that consumer side of it goes, and it's put a
Yeah,
little
a
pressure
lot of a lot of
along with car sales.
yeah, a lot of upgrading from the schools as well,
Yes. Oh, that's a very valid
for
point. I hadn't thought of that. You know
online
that?
learning. Um,
Right.
so all of my kids have school issued
Sure.
laptops now,
Right.
and one of them is about to get a new one next week because there might be some issue with the headphone jack, which is causing problems.
Okay.
So
Well, and you're not the only one. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of that, and I hadn't thought of the people going back to school, but you know what? We might just see a little surge here. That would be very interesting.
yeah. Um, I like that the ratio is kind of back around 80, gold silver ratio.
That's
Again,
certainly been the number. You know.
yeah. I'm not, but just again also based on the price performance of the ratio, it sort of suggests to me that we could see another test of the downside in silver. Obviously, gold and silver tend to move pretty correlated.
Okay.
So maybe we get a little bit of a pullback in gold too, but I find myself kind of at least thinking that that the corrective low is in place for gold. There's so much talk about the dollar rally. The dollar
Yeah.
rally is pushing gold down.
But you know what? It's valid talk. I mean, the dollar has. I mean, in some cases, especially even the last 2 weeks, people have been going, "What's going on?" I just go, "Look at the dollar."
Yeah. Well,
You see these
here's
monstrous rallies in the dollar. It just puts huge pressure on the metals. There's no question about it.
but if you look at the dollar index, the whole
Okay.
move from the low to the high thus far is
Right.
3%.
Yeah, but look at the vol. I mean, the speed of the rallies, guys. It's just been bang bang, and all of a sudden everybody's going, wait a minute, what just happened? And that's computer trading again. Of course, the light turns green, the computers buy it. And look at we're as guilty of it as the next guy. I mean, our scrappers, our refiners, some of our miners, when product is coming out or they're using it, whatever, we have an automatic hedge system which automatically puts on a hedge for them and takes the risk out of their business for them. So we're just as guilty, I guess, as far as having our computers coming in and selling or buying. But in our case, we're not trading; we're just mitigating risk. But it, it it's as large in multiple fields anywhere else. So
Yeah.
I think when you see those dollar pops, that's what it is, Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, as a general statement, though, color me unimpressed with the dollar rally.
Okay.
All right. So
As he
I
says,
don't
because
think
he's not on the floor trading FX right now. Otherwise, he would have less hair. I promise you.
that's my background, man, is in FX, and man, things would
That's
get
right.
crazy.
So let's not forget our past, shall we?
Yeah.
It was those little bitty moves were monstrous when you were standing there holding a deck. So
1250 a tick, baby.
yeah,
It all
one
adds
tick
up.
was you see a life pass in front of you on a big move. So you know, let's move on a little bit and go into our PGMs because they've been kind of
Yeah.
quiet. But
Well, decent
again,
week.
big moves,
Yeah,
right?
decent week.
Yeah,
Both were up about 4%, platinum and
right.
palladium. Um, a little
Palladium
dis
leading the rally.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that can be attributed to auto sales. So we got better than expected auto sales in August. Um, 2.9 million autos on expectations of 2.8 million, so only slightly better.
What were light
But
trucks? I didn't
light
see the posting. It came late.
9.9 million
Oh,
on
jeez,
expectations
really?
of 9.5
Yeah, that's a good
versus
number.
9.2 previous. So really
Okay.
good number. Auto sales as a whole were up 7.6% last month.
Wow.
2 months ago now, August numbers
Yeah,
is what
right.
we were looking at. So that puts us like less than 2 million units off of the cycle high from 2015 at 18.1 million units. So we're kind of
So
getting back to
we're
more
seeing
normal
good
levels.
consumption of platinum palladium for catalytic converters, guys.
Yeah,
That's why we watch those numbers as we watch that, because it's indicative of a copper usage, which is about 40 pounds a vehicle now, as much as 120 pounds for your electric cars. Electric cars are, believe it or not, just to dispel a myth here, electric cars are heavier than regular automobiles. And in many cases, they have 120 pounds of copper, use far more silver. So these numbers are very germane to what we're talking about. And I didn't see the truck number. That's a very good number.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
impressive. So not surprising to see the PGMs firm up.
right, right.
Platinum didn't sustain gains above $900, which
Okay,
is it basically leaves everything in the range. But the price performance I thought was pretty good, particularly in the latter
I
half of
concur.
last week.
Hey, when our scrappers are making good money up here, okay, they're delivering, they're getting nice checks. So let's just keep the stuff up above 2,000, and I'm very happy for our guys, you know.
Yeah. So
And later on in the show, by the way, we're going to introduce the new head of our scrap division. So keep an eye out for that as well.
yeah. So copper ended essentially unchanged. It was down a tenth of a penny on the week.
Yeah,
And I
but
guess
it was a
technically,
bloody week, baby. It was pistol and cutlass. The lady was out there with her sword drawn, and it was ugly. We had almost a 20-cent swing at one point. So
yeah, fell down
the
to
numbers coming out of London have been staggering. We have seen the LME, the London Metals Exchange, and the LBMA, the London Base Metals Exchange. We have seen their stockpile numbers, which we watch very closely, swing in just radical movements. And we saw a few weeks ago they were down as much as 20% in their holdings in their warehouses for deliverable metal. And then all of a sudden, this week they released a number and said, oh, by the way, we're almost up 20%. We've been taking deliveries. And everybody went, what? You know, it's been really, really a crazy fundamental market, which is what drives us, because, you know, we have a desk for miners, refiners, recyclers. You know, that's who we deal with, coin dealers, bullion dealers. And so they want to know these numbers. And when we see these numbers, especially last week, it was rather startling, right, Pete?
yeah. So we traded as low as 283.27, which was a
Right.
7-week low. But on Friday, the market came roaring back, almost 5%
Yes.
higher on Friday.
Yep.
So
We
that's the low.
almost closed above $3
Yeah.
out of nowhere last week. It was
Yes.
startling, you know, and really, you know, um, the miners voted in the Chile to strike. We want you guys to know that COVID has slowed up the raw or the ore produced in some of the larger Chilean mines. They're the number one producers. Peru and Mexico, we have not seen if they're usually run in tandem. There's sympathy among the mining groups, and they talk to one another. But for right now, we have seen affirmation of a strike in Chile, and with COVID happening, and that is going to put it squarely on the shoulders of our scrappers. Keep those wheels rolling, guys, because we really need you with the housing numbers that we're seeing, with the consumption that we're seeing. Copper is going to be vital to the bloodline of this nation. So this is going to be a very interesting next couple of weeks, Pete.
Yeah, I think anticipate further volatile trading, but I
Yeah,
think that the trend remains unquestionably favorable, and there's buying interest on those dips for sure. As you
yep.
mentioned, home sales and home prices continue to be very favorable. Last week, the data was mostly favorable, and then they always give the revised second quarter GDP number, and it always stabs you right in the heart. Down 31.44% is the third report for
Nothing we can do about it, you know.
yeah, but things generally, we mentioned auto sales already, manufacturing ISM and PMIs. we're a little off the mark, but still well above 50% in expansion mode. Construction spending, plus 1.4% on
That was a big
expectations
number.
of
I'm
plus
glad you mentioned that.
0.7. So
Yeah,
again, that plays into the copper scenario as
sure
well.
does.
Um,
Remember, guys, you can use an average of 400 pounds of copper in a new building. So that's a big number.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Factory orders were a little bit of a disappointment, up 0.7% on expectations of plus 1.2%.
Okay.
But all in all, the data that are coming in seem pretty favorable.
I agree.
One other bit of news late in the week was that President Trump and the First Lady were confirmed to have
Yeah,
COVID-19.
our thoughts and prayers to the president of our country and to the first lady, and unfortunately to some of his staff as well. We were thinking about you. Stay strong, and we know he's doing a radical medical procedure. A lot of people felt it was a high risk. He has been the leader in a lot of medications and a lot of techniques, and we hope in this case his strength and his wisdom will allow him to overcome this.
Yeah, so it created some volatility in the market
Absolutely.
towards the end of last week, and um, thus far, anyways, it seems like the symptoms have been mild. So we'll see how all that plays out and
Yeah, I mean,
implications for
it
the
takes a
election
while
and
to
so forth.
gestate. We don't know how far along it's gone, but he seems like a very strong and vibrant man. So let's hope it doesn't last.
Yeah, so we'll be watching for additional news on that front in this week. We also have services, PMI and ISM, August trade data. Um,
Now we have some Fed notes coming out Wednesday. Is that right?
Wednesday, FOMC
Okay.
minutes from the September meeting come out,
Right.
so that'll be important.
Yeah.
Claims on Thursday, as we always see,
Okay.
850,000 is the expectation. Um,
That's been a very significant number. Let's hope it's a good one.
yeah, and wholesale sales, the expectations are plus 1%. Obviously, last week, besides the president's diagnosis, the September jobs data came out, and it was a little bit disappointing on that
Was
headline non-farm payrolls number,
right.
only plus 661,000. The market was
But it
looking
could have
for
been worse
800.
thave It wasn't a million, right?
Yeah, it could have been
Okay,
800.
so
840,000 was the market expectation, and that's off of 1.49 million
yeah,
in August. So disappointing, but the unemployment rate dropped to 7.9% from 8.4 in August. So that number is good.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so things seem to generally be improving, and
They do, and we're talking about a V-shaped recovery. It's a little slower V than we anticipated. Also, the EU, we're seeing some shutdowns is still being contemplated there. We hope that the second wave, as they're calling it now, does not occur with a vengeance. That you remember, viruses mutate. That's what they do. It is not unexpected. All right, guys, when the news starts talking about, oh, we've got a mutation, all viruses become mutants. That's what they do. But when they mutate, they either become stronger or weaker. In this case, it appears to be weaker. So fingers crossed. I am not a virologist, but I do read quite a bit, and so far what I'm seeing, it's not as terrifying as a lot of people want you to think. All right.
that's when you change your green screen background to like a hospital or
I
something, and you
see.
and you
That's
put your
it.
lab coat on, Pete.
I'll have my gloves and mask on when I come in next time.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us again this week. Check us
Absolutely.
out on ZanerPreciousMetals.com if you have a need for some physical metal. We'd
Right.
appreciate
Right.
you.
And
And
and also, Pete, let's mention the fact that if you're running a coin shop, a bullion shop, a refinery, give us a shout. We have some tremendous software to help you mitigate some of these wild swings in the market. It works. It's been working for
yeah,
over a decade and a half. We have some of the best IT guys in the industry working on it. We've been a registered broker in the business section in downtown Chicago for 40 years. Give us a visit. Check us out online because
Yeah.
we will help you be more profitable or safer coming into the next year.
Right. We build very sophisticated
We sure do.
shopping carts
Yeah,
for the
yeah, right.
specifically for the precious metals industry. We have proprietary inventory management software, so we can, if you're ever thinking about pushing out into the World Wide Web to
Yeah.
sell your metal, we can
Rather than
absolutely help.
hiring someone that doesn't understand metal and then you have to educate them so they can build it for you, we have a lot of stuff already built on the shelf to save you a lot of time.
And money. So
That goes with it.
we understand the business, and it
Yes,
really
we do.
helps. I can't tell you how many times we've, you know, somebody comes to us with a cart that
Oh,
Joe the IT guy built, and it's like
right. No.
it's going to be easier to start over rather than try
Yeah,
and fix
I
this.
mean when you're having someone build you a shopping cart to go on the web to sell your product, and you have to explain to them what a gram is and how you sell in
A
ounces and
troy
what the
ounce.
price
Yeah.
differentiation is in dollars for silver and in ounces for gold, you shouldn't be there. Run away. You know.
Give us a call. We'll give
Yeah,
you a quote, and
really.
I think you'll be very pleasantly
Yeah,
surprised.
I do too.
And with that,
With
have a
that, with
great
those
trading
notes,
week.
hey, listen, thanks for visiting. We love you guys. We appreciate you coming by. Thoughts and prayers last time for POTUS and his lovely wife. And with that, I'm out, Pete.
Grant, Mr. Thomas, thanks for having me here today. My background is in mining geology and resource economics, and I trade industrial metals. I work with steel mill consumers, foundries, refineries, brokerage firms, and I learned the metals industry from the side of um, the industrialist, the resource explorer. I'm sending a shout out to all of our scrapyard recyclers and refineries. We know it's really challenging to get material in the front door today, and we're here working for you. Um, we know that you're part of the national defense strategy. We know that there's a lot of pressure on you. We're developing new tools to help you stay competitive. Part of the talk today with Zaner Precious Metals and Tornado Bullion is to talk about hedging capabilities. We've got some recyclers and refineries that we're onboarding to the platform, and they're hedging their physical inventory. As it comes in the front door, they place the hedge, they adjust their position when it's shipped out the back, and it's really an amazing tool to help these folks offset the risk of price changes as well as price drops. Um, 1/3 of all of the platinum and palladium is recycled, even more gold, even more copper. So great working with you guys today, and have fun at the convention. Thank you.